What's going on, everybody? Good morning, good evening, or wherever you are, and whatever time it is, and welcome back to yet another video with your man, Immeasureholic. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another online battle for the divided Impera overhaul mod for Total War Rome 2. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we have Rome taking on the Etruscan League. I know this is going to be a very interesting matchup. Two of the ancient world's most classical rivals, really. And one of the more exciting aspects about this battle is that it is an online battle conducted in a head-to-head campaign. That's right, this is another replay sent in from our good friend Andre Lemgaard. He's going up against his friend Ancient Warrior. In the head-to-head campaign, Ancient Warrior is playing as Macedon. Andre is now playing as Rome. So Andre will be taking command of this Roman army that we can see here. His friend, Ancient Warrior, will be taking command of an AI army, which is under the command of the Etruscans. So this is taking place relatively early in the campaign. I believe it's actually only like turn 2 or 4, something like that in the Great campaign. So you can see that the units are of a very low tier for the Romans. This is in the Polybian reforms. Camillan reforms, I believe it's called, where they're still primarily using spears, hoplites. They haven't made that big conversion, that big jump to the Polybian reforms, where they start using swords, and then further on through the Marian reforms and whatnot. So this is going to be a very classical matchup, especially if you yourself play Rome in the Grand Campaign. You should recognize this map, because this is the Battle of Arretium. This is one of the battles that you should be doing within the first 5-10 turns maximum every single time you play your own Roman campaign. You want to go ahead and knock out the Etruscans early. Unfortunately for Andre, the AI was a little bit wiser and was actually able to recruit some mercenaries in addition to its full town garrison. So while we see the army of the Romans right here, unfortunately, we can't see the Etruscan army, although we will see it pretty shortly after the battle starts. But this is all the Romans get. They have no reinforcements coming in. Meanwhile, the Etruscans have their garrison on top of a very small army that is stationed inside the city of Arretium. However, it does have a general, and I believe it had either 4 or 5 mercenary units. So can this Etruscan, I guess, little ragtag force hold off against a professional legion of Camillan Roman forces? So anyway, massive shout out again to my friend Andre Lemgaard. So grateful for the replays, my man. Apologies, it's taken me a while to get into the replays, but here we are. Let's go ahead and talk about the Roman army, and then we will talk about the Etruscan army when we can see a little bit more of it. Anyway, let's do it. Okay, so let's work our way from left to right along the Roman legion. We have a lot of Principes. We have one way out here on the far left-hand flank. We then have a second one, a third one, a fourth one here, a fifth one, 6, 7 Principe units. Very solid line. Then it also has one single Triarii unit up here at the front, and then he has a single Hastata unit in the rear on the far left-hand side. He then has his general, which is just a typical general's bodyguard unit for the Camillan era. Nothing special about it at all. I don't believe it even... I don't think it even says who the general is, because we're watching this in a battle replay. However, he does have another cavalry unit, a unit of Samnite hired riders. These guys are one of the best units you can get early on in a Roman campaign. I'm actually in the middle of working on a Roman faction overview, little tease for you guys to know what's coming up on the channel, and these guys will definitely be mentioned as being crucial to the early game for Rome, as cavalry is definitely not a strong point of the Romans for the majority of their campaign, at least until you get to the Marian reforms and so on. So these guys are going to come in big. But anyway, let's fast forward the video a little bit until we start seeing the majority of the Etruscan forces on the hill. Okay, everybody, as you can see, the Etruscans are taking positions up on the hill just outside Arretium. They have a very good defensive position up here where they'll be able to hold off against the Roman legion. Whether they'll actually be able to completely hold them off, we'll have to wait and see. So let's go over their army. The Etruscans have primarily a town garrison, so keep that in mind. So we're not going to see too many awesome units, but we are going to see some useful ones. For example, they have slingers. 1, 2, 3 sets of just generic Italian slingers, one of the lowest tier slingers, but they're slingers, and you will note the Romans have 0 skirmishing power, so that could come in to be decisively advantageous for the Etruscans. The Etruscans do have a Italic aristocratic cavalry unit, which is basically a generic Etruscan general, so an actual general, not just a captain. They then have a unit of Etruscan hoplites right here. Now, just very quickly, look at these Etruscan hoplites. Oh my goodness, don't they look crazy? Like, what? What are the... That looks amazing. What the hell? I haven't seen Etruscan units this close up for quite a while. I do not remember seeing them with these helmets and whatnot. But anyway, they look fantastic. They have a unit of Samnite warriors back here. Samnites have sent reinforcements to the Etruscans in the north, try and help the Etruscans hold off against the Romans. Although, unfortunately, in the DEI Grand Campaign, the Samnites already wiped out by the time you start. I wish that wasn't the case, but anyway, we then have a Hastati Etruscan unit over here. We then have more of the town garrison units down in this direction, where we have the Italian swordsman, Hastati Etruscan mercenary unit. Oh, I thought that was something different. Never mind. Hastati Etruscan mercenary. It says Hastati, but these guys look more like hoplites. Yeah. Well, it says Etruscan mercenary spearman unit right there. So, anyway, going to be very useful for the Etruscans. Another professional unit. Italian town guard right here. Then they have a civilian unit over here. And then I believe they have at least 2 more over here. So I did look a little bit ahead in the replay just to make sure it was working. But we can see the majority of the professional Etruscan troops are up here on the hill. They do have some slingers. I'm not seeing any generic mercenary units, except I believe these Italian swords. I don't think these guys are mercenaries. Or are they? They kind of look like they're mercenaries. Man, it's been so long since I've fought a grand campaign battle against the Etruscans. But anyway, that's all that we can see for now. I will point out new troops that come onto the battlefield as we see them, although I don't believe we are going to see any for quite a while, if at all, actually. But anyway, let's get started. Press the play button, see what the Romans do. Obviously, the Etruscans spawn a little bit closer to the hill. In fact, you'll notice over here on the north side, they actually have their battle placements along here. So that's some caltrops. You can see the disturbed ground right here, indicating traps. So the right-hand flank of the Etruscans is very secure. It's going to be hard for the Romans to try and outflank over that way. Italian town guard is coming up from the forest to help out. Might be some more down there as well. Looks like the slingers of the Etruscans are forward. Going to be targeting the Principes as they march up quickly. Fair enough though, the Romans not wasting any time whatsoever. They're just trying to close ranks as quickly as possible. They're going to suffer pretty badly. Some of the Etruscan units do have javelins, so they will get some good damage done against the Principes, but Principes are tough. The Roman army is like excellent quality considering the era, considering the time, right? Like, this is the beginning of the Grand Campaign. The Romans are not going to get better units than Principes unless you get like an army of Triarii, which even then, I would rather an army of Principes. Far more mobile, they have the javelin, just way more versatile. But yeah, look at all these javelins flying down against the Romans as they advance uphill. It's going to be so interesting to see more replays from this campaign. Andre has sent me a bunch, so you guys will be seeing more. Principes are charging straight uphill. Meanwhile, both units of the Roman cavalry circling around to the right-hand flank to the east might be intercepted up here by the Etruscan unit, but it is only one unit of Etruscans. Mercenary Etruscan unit here is about to be charged by the Principes. What are the Triarii doing? They back here in the rear? Yes, they are. Triarii is still there. Where is the Hastati unit? Did it push up to the front? I want to see. Where is it? Nope. So Hastati and the Triarii are back here in the rear. Uh-oh. Slingers are a little bit vulnerable. The Romans gonna get the charge? No, they're not. Lucky save, although they will charge head on into these swordsmen. Oh my goodness. Nearly the entire Etruscan unit was knocked onto its knees. That was incredible. Woo. Are they gonna get a recharge in right here? That would be very beneficial. Nope. They're just gonna bail downhill. Back to the east, fair enough. Meanwhile, how are the Romans faring on their main line? They're going up against some solid Etruscan units. A little bit of a waste of units here with the double stack of units on top of each other. Not necessary. Might be better to have one of those units over here. Try and form a line, because you can see the Romans, because they are Principes and they're quite mobile, they're just going to run around. We do have these civilians coming over here though, looking to disturb the Roman march. And they have an Italian town guard unit coming in. So not very important, like, high quality units involved in this fight, at least from the Etruscan side. The Romans are using exactly what you would expect, which is a bunch of Principes, some cavalry and hastati. But this battle is really, really important, despite it being quite trivial in terms of unit quality. Because whoever wins this battle gets the city of Arretium, right? The Etruscan faction is an AI faction right here. But Andre, being the Roman player in this head-to-head campaign, for him it's so important to knock out the Etruscans early, because he has the Epirotes to deal with. Now, you guys are going to be seeing at least 1 or 2 replays between Andre and his friend Ancient Warrior, where Andre is playing as the Romans and he's dealing with the Epirot forces from the south. Pyrrhus himself will be leading attacks against the Roman legions. Yeah, we're getting a massive kind of clump right here. I'm not sure what the deal is with that, but I mean, it is what it is. Right hand flank is a little bit more spread out though. The Romans are being intercepted. They're not really getting to outflank these Etruscan units. It's going to be a pretty hard battle from the looks of it. But look at this, wow. This Principe unit down to 184 men. It's in a one-on-one against some Samnite warriors. They're down to 140 men. Principes are doing work. Let's get some close-ups for you all. Oh, here comes some cavalry. Charging into the side of the Romans, who are trying to outflank. Ooh, nice charge by the Etruscan player. Beautiful units. The Etruscan faction is so underrated. I really wish that it could last longer in the Grand Campaign, but it's just not the way. Looks like the slingers have run out of ammunition and charging down into melee to surround the Roman legion. Look at these Romans. Being hit from 3 sides right here, but they're still just pushing on. 1 Roman unit taking on 4 different units. Oh no, slingers still do have some hammer, and look at this. Targeting the Roman general. This is the #1 use for these slingers right now, in my opinion. They have to get this general. That's the only way they're going to have a chance in defeating the Roman army. I mean, way over here we have some interesting maneuvers going on. Italian town guard is holding. Italian citizens over there are as well. Just a little bit of micro mismanagement over here, and because of that, the Roman unit is actually going to come downhill. Looks like they're trying to chase this cavalry unit, but the cav can get away easily. It will get a bit of a charge. Ooh, it just barely dodges it. But yeah, this Roman unit should be able to take on that town guard without much issue, as long as it doesn't get too heavily outflanked, although those citizens are going to run back down the hill. Just a little bit of cat and mouse right there. Samnites lose their sword unit. I mean, the Etruscans lose their Samnite sword unit. Right hand flank for the Romans is going very well though. Hastati now being sent in right here. Yep, Etruscan hoplites and Italian swordsmen have it rough. Etruscan cavalry again, very nice charge actually. Hitting the rear of the Principes who are flanking from above the hill. But don't think it's going to be enough. It did hardly any damage to these Principe units. The most it's doing is distracting them. Although this Triaria unit, whoa, it's getting hammered. It has 60 kills, but it's also lost 51 men. That's not very good for the Triaria unit. I wonder what happened with that. They're trying to pull back Triaria and the Principe. The Roman is getting outflanked quite heavily on the left, but his Principes are pushing through it so easily. They're just so strong. Oh my goodness. Roman cavalry, though, it could be used to be a little bit more efficient in this battle. Like, it could be neutralizing these slingers up here who are getting free kills. However, because this is a head-to-head campaign, you also want your cavalry to be chasing down routing units. For example, this would be a perfect kind of unit to go chase down. Or this unit here. Just to make sure that they don't come back, because look at that right there. Yeah, this unit might not turn the tide of the battle, but it's possible. Battles have been turned by far fewer men coming back from routing, so just something to be aware of. Ooh, Slinger's getting some nice shots on this cavalry right here. The Etruscan cav charging downhill. Not the cleanest charge, got held up by a bunch of its own infantry, unfortunately. But yeah, these Slingers, woo, getting some nice hit point damage on this cavalry, and now because they've got a bunch of volleys, the Samnite cav is going to fall quite quickly. That's an expensive unit too. You don't want to be losing too many of your men to such a cheap, crappy unit like those Slingers. This Principe unit's actually in big trouble now. It still has the Italian town guard to deal with, and the Etruscan cavalry is coming downhill. Now you gotta be careful, man. Meanwhile, right hand flank for the Romans going excellent. They need to be faster though. Need to get moving. Gotta hurry up a little with that micro. Triarii push through, take out a group of Italian citizens. They need to get moving as well. This center battle should go good for the Romans. It's just because of both sides are really clumped up in this fight. It's really forcing them to be in a long grind out kind of fight. Perhaps if the Romans were a little bit more spread out, where they could be like kind of going around even more than what they already are, might have already been over, but still not bad though. Principe is doing their thing, grinding through. This is Principe territory, 100%. This unit has 100 kills. This one, 157 kills. 117 kills. 156 kills. 277 kills. These are just all Principes. That's incredible. Look at this, cavalry unit over here is getting annihilated. They're pretty much going to be out of the fight for a while now. Citizens coming back though, might get a recharge on the Romans. Samnite swordsman unit still isn't running back to the battle, so lucky for the Roman player on that part. His general is very tired and he's taken some damage, so doesn't want to be too aggressive with that. The Etruscans look like they're trying to pull back perhaps. Get some kills with their slingers, but yeah. Majority of the Etruscan melee troops are now routing. It's just these two units holding out, and some reinforcements coming in from routing. What's this unit over here? It's an Italian swordsman unit. What's its stats looking like? Its stats are actually pretty good. A bit disappointing that it's routed, come back, but it's still kind of sitting over there. It's something that a lot of players will need to get used to in the new update for DEI. In this current update, but also the last one, units were made to come back from routing a lot more. It's a lot more common, so you really need to have your cavalry or other light units chasing them down. Again, these skirmishers are being given free reign to basically do as they please. They should have been shut down a lot earlier from the Roman player. You're going to be getting a lot of free kills. Let's actually check. 20 kills, 55, and 13. So while the numbers aren't that high, these are terrible slingers. So for them to get kills of like more than 20 or 30 is actually quite decent. I mean, they're fighting super heavily armored troops. The Romans are very heavily armored and they have a large shield. So it's going to take a while for them to get many kills. Looks like Roman player is trying to hide his semi-cav, but the Etruscan player is not having it. He's interested in trying to shut it down. I'm not sure if he'll be able to catch it though. Maybe actually, yeah. Look like they're closing the distance. Oh, meanwhile the general's getting annihilated. Oh my goodness, he gets a good charge onto the slingers, but look at this strategy real quickly. We have one unit of slingers, but then we have another and another. So no matter which unit the Roman general decides to charge into first, at least two of those slinger units are going to have some free shots on him. Unfortunately for the Etruscan player, there was some Roman infantry nearby that stopped it. But when your skirmishers are being charged, it's a really smart strategy to try and split them off into different areas. So like say if the general charges for this one down here, at least the units on either flank can still do range attacks and get some extra damage in. Maybe kill the general, you never know, right? Here comes the general loads. The Romans are basically wrapping this up. There's no way the Etruscans can bring this back, although there's a lot of traps down here. Yeah, Romans are going to suffer some light casualties from it. Nothing too dramatic, but this is super early in the campaign, so every loss counts. Every unit counts, every man counts. Every ducat spent on money, every turn spent recruiting. Like these semi-cav, it's really crucial that they don't get destroyed, kind of like how they are right now. The Romans need this unit to do very well. I mean, they can be recruited again, but they're a mercenary unit, so anyone can recruit it. So Epirus might get those Semite warriors, semi-cav instead, if the Romans don't. But the Romans are marching out, trying to mop up the last remaining forces. So well done to the Romans for taking the hill. You can just look at the bodies, you can see where their fighting was relatively intense. The center of the battle right here. The left flank had some groupings, which got pretty intense for a while there. But yeah, Andre did the right call though, just charging straight up a hill. Usually that's the bad call, but in this instance, there's no way that the Etruscan player is going to come down off the hill. It's not really needed. The hill itself isn't really that much of an advantage anyway. I mean, it's not that much of an incline, as you can see, just by like getting down to this level and looking. But yeah, the Etruscan player having skirmishers, it's pretty crucial that it gets dealt with quickly, right? Not sure why these guys are running away. We still have 4 minutes left in the battle. I believe maybe they're just trying to retreat? Who knows? But anyway, that's basically where we're going to call this battle, guys. I'll skip ahead a little bit, but I don't really have too much else to add. It's a really crucial battle in the Roman campaign early on though, so I really wanted to showcase this to you guys. A lot of you should be familiar with this map, with this battle map. Usually, when you're just playing against the AI, they will stay down here in the forest, or they'll come up and meet you somewhere around here. Your forces will start here. What I like to do personally when I'm playing as the Romans is I'll put my troops over here in like almost a little square or U-shaped formation, and then I will charge straight up this hill. Semi-cavalry forward, just like the Etruscan player did. Get a defensive perimeter, and then if the Etruscans don't push me, then I will just push down the hill into their forest and grind them out. But anyway, I'm going to skip ahead, make sure there's no other surprises, but I will show you guys the stat screen very quickly. However, you can't see all of the units and all of their kills, so we'll at the very least get to see the amount of men thrown into the fight. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you guys at the statistics screen. So just very quickly, here are these stats. You can see Lucius Libo, the leader of the Roman Republic in the Grand Campaign right here, did actually very, very well. The main loss for the Romans was their Samnite cavalry. I mean, it sucks that they took so many losses because it is a very crucial unit for the Romans, especially once they fight the Greeks and the Gauls to the north, who has some decent cav. But, I mean, they're a mercenary unit. They can be replaced relatively easily. You can see all of the Principe units did fantastic with their kills. 428, 200, 200, 200, 200. It's just disgusting how good the Roman war machine is. Although they were just fighting an Etruscan town garrison, in addition to the general right here, the Etruscan hoplite that was recruited, the Samnite warriors, a starter unit that the Etruscans get, and then a Etruscan mercenary spear unit. All of them didn't really do very well, though. The cavalry unit of the general did for the Etruscans, but I mean, he could have done a fair bit more in the end. So, despite being outnumbered, 1,000 men extra on behalf of the Etruscans compared to the Romans, the Roman legion takes the day and they win the Battle of Arretium. And now we'll have to see what else happens in that head-to-head campaign between Andre and Ancient Warriors. So once again, thank you to my man Andre, and thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I shall see you in the next one.